AITA for letting my parents get arrested for trashing what they thought was my house? My name is Rachel Evans. I am 33 years old, and that Tuesday morning I thought it was going to be just another quiet day. Coffee, computer, headphones, and catching up on pending tasks. I work as a software developer at a large tech company. I do well, I will not deny it. 4 years ago I finally bought a house with a mortgage in a quiet neighborhood in Allen, Texas. It was the best decision I have ever made. I set up my home office right there in a room dedicated to work, and ever since the company went fully flexible with remote work, my life fell into place. Waking up, showering, making coffee, and sitting down to work without dealing with the morning commute. It was a real blessing. And precisely because of that, my plans had started to change in the last few months. About a year ago, I met an amazing guy online, Nathan Cole. He lives in Austin. We started with the usual messages, calls, video calls, and then visits. He would come up to the Dallas area. I would drive down there. Our relationship, even long distance, felt real and stable, so much so that I was already thinking about selling my house and moving in with him to give it a serious try. If I can work from anywhere, why not? That Tuesday I was deep into some code when an email notification popped up. Usually I do not even look when I am focused, but something pulled me in. It was not my regular email. It was the old one, the one I barely use anymore, the one I keep just in case. And there was the sender. Mom. I lost my breath. Literally. I had not spoken to my family for 5 years. 5 whole years. And it was not because of a simple misunderstanding or time passing by. It was because they had cut me off, kicked me out, and I had closed the door behind me. To make it understandable, I have to go back. My parents are Carol and Frank Evans. They are in their 60s now. I have an older sister, Megan, 3 years older than me. She is married to Jason Walker, and they are quite the pair when it comes to their decisions. 5 years ago, I still went to Saturday family lunches at my parents' house in Plano. It was a tradition. I lived in a rented apartment, worked hard, and saved as much as I could to buy a house. I had a very clear goal. I wanted a solid down payment so the monthly payments would not be overwhelming. I had saved up about $108,000. I remember perfectly because I felt so proud. It was my effort, my late nights, my skipping vacations, my weekends without spending everything. And then came that Saturday that changed everything. I walked into my parents' house in Plano, and Megan and Jason Walker were already there. Looking excited, talking to my mom and dad as if they were about to announce something big. I said hello, put my bag down, sat at the table, and my mom smiled at me from ear to ear. Megan is going to open her business, sweetie, and we know that this time she is going to do incredibly well. I smiled politely. Inside I thought, again, because this was not the first time. Megan had already tried starting a business twice before. Both times it ended badly, with debts and looking for someone to blame. And guess who helped cover those bills those 2 times? My parents. But I stayed quiet because in my family, stating an uncomfortable truth made me the bad guy. Megan was almost jumping in her seat. I have it all planned out now, Rachel. I made the plan, I looked at everything. I just need the startup capital. Then both Megan and Jason Walker turned to look at me directly, as if they already knew the ending. I frowned. Why are you looking at me like that? Megan put on a super sweet tone, one of those that gave me chills. Well, because we know you are saving for your house and we know roughly how much you have put aside. My blood ran cold. Megan, I am not going to put my house savings into your business. Her smile dropped instantly. She started talking fast, defensive, with a raised voice. You do not understand. This time is different. I have learned. If you help me out, in a couple of years I will pay you back double. I will give you back something like $270,000 or more. I laughed. Just slipped out. It was not to mock, it was out of disbelief. Megan, you have already had 2 attempts that did not work. Seriously, just get a steady job like everyone else. That is when everything fell apart. Megan turned red, her eyes filled with tears. She cried, got up, and ran out of the house. Jason Walker looked at me with anger. You are really something, Rachel. And he went after her. I stayed there alone with my parents, thinking they would understand, that they would say enough is enough. But no. My mom started as soon as the door closed. What a way to treat your sister. My dad too. You are being cold and selfish. You do not care about anyone. I took a deep breath. I just told the truth. If she tries the same thing again, she is going to end up in the same situation. My mom looked at me as if I had insulted her. Megan is more talented than you, Rachel. What you have is envy. That phrase hurt more than I would like to admit. Then my dad dropped the ultimatum with a scary calmness. Either you give that money to your sister, or you can forget about this family. I looked at him, then at my mom. I saw the certainty in their faces. Are you serious? Serious, my dad said. I felt a lump in my throat. My hands were shaking, but my voice came out steady. I am not going to give her my savings. My mom stood up. Then get out. Just like that. Get out. They kicked me out of their house. Their words were clear. Do not come back, do not look for them. The next day I changed my number, blocked what I needed to block, and moved on. A year later I bought my house just as planned, and for 5 years I lived without them. From a distance, through mutual acquaintances, I heard that Megan's business had taken off. They bought a nice house, traveled, and drove nice cars. Honestly, I was glad it worked out for her. But that did not mean I wanted to reconnect. That is why seeing my mom's name in that old email after 5 years shook me deeply. I opened it with shaking hands. Rachel, we need to see you urgently. It is life or death. Please come to the house. My first thought was the worst. That my dad was ill or my mom had something serious. I was angry, yes, but I am not heartless. If someone was in real trouble, I needed to know. I stared at the screen for a while. Part of me wanted to delete it and move on, but the what if won. I replied shortly. I will be there on Saturday. That Saturday came quickly. I did not sleep well, imagining all kinds of scenarios. I left early to avoid traffic, heading to Plano, with a knot in my stomach. Felt so strange to be back in that area. Everything looked smaller. Or maybe I had changed. When I arrived, I saw 2 parked cars. A sleek sports car and a luxury SUV. Megan and Jason Walker's. Perfect, I thought. This is going to be quite the scene. I sat in my car for a minute gathering courage, then got out and knocked. My mom opened the door. We stared at each other like strangers. She looked more tired, older, with new lines on her face. Rachel, she said with a broken voice, thank you for coming. I walked in and everyone was there. My dad in his usual chair, serious and stiff. Megan on the living room sofa, close to Jason Walker, eyes swollen from crying. They looked nervous but relieved to see me, as if my presence was the solution. I did not sit. I stayed standing. What happened? You said it was life or death. My mom sat down and started crying right away. It is Megan. She is in very serious trouble. Megan would not look at me. Jason Walker squeezed her hand. What kind of trouble? I asked. My dad cleared his throat. The business went under 3 months ago. I felt a strange mix of sadness and something else. Losing stability is hard. But a part of me thought I had warned them. I did not say it. I am sorry, I said. But what does this have to do with me? My mom wiped her tears. It is not just that. Even though she lost the house, she still owes a lot of money. And it is not to a bank. Megan finally spoke, almost in a whisper. I owe about $135,000. I froze. Who do you owe that to? Jason Walker answered. Private lenders. Megan burst into tears again. They are not willing to wait. They have been calling and making threats. They know where we are living. They know our routines. My mom finished desperately. They say if we do not pay in the next few weeks, they are going to take legal action and leave us in a difficult spot. At that moment, I heard the urgency and the pressure they wanted me to hear. I felt genuine pity, but I still did not understand why they had called me there. That is horrible, I said slowly. But I do not understand what you expect from me. My mom looked at me as if it was obvious. We know you bought a house, a nice one. We thought you should sell it to help with your sister's debt. I stared at her in disbelief. Are you serious? You are young, my mom said. You can start over and buy again. I looked at my dad, at Megan, at Jason Walker, and spoke clearly. Let us be straight. 5 years ago you cut me off for not giving my savings to Megan. You said I was no longer part of the family. And now that things have gone wrong, you want me to sell my house to fix this. My dad, with a condemning tone, said, Family is supposed to support each other. I let out a dry laugh. You told me I was no longer family, remember? Megan cried harder. Yes, we made a mistake, but this is different. I held back my frustration. Then you should have thought about that before. Jason Walker got defensive. You have no idea the pressure we are under. No, I do not, I said. But I did see the nice cars outside. Maybe start by selling those. Megan looked annoyed. We need them for work. I ran out of patience. You need them more than resolving a debt this size? My mom stood up and got very close. If you sell that house, you can cover everything and still have enough for a smaller place like a condo. You would not be without a roof. I gritted my teeth. Mom, I worked for years to get that house and I still have a mortgage. It is not like I sell it and walk away with everything clear. Even so, I am not selling it to fix Megan's situation. She is your sister, my dad said. She is an adult, I replied, who made her choices and now wants me to pay for them. Megan stood up. You are supposed to love me. You are supposed to care. I looked right at her. Where was that family when you all cut me off and told me to leave? Where was that loyalty then? That was different, my mom said desperately. Different how? I asked. And then the words I had held for 5 years came out. When you wanted my savings, you kicked me out for not giving it. Now that you want my house, I am not giving it either. There was silence. They looked at me like I was the problem. I am not doing this, I said. Megan got into this and she has to find her way out. If you want to help her so much, sell your own house or use your own savings. My mom looked shocked. This is the only house we have. We are older now. We cannot start over like you. I nodded slowly. Then you understand why I am not selling mine. I turned to leave. Megan yelled behind me. You are making a mistake. These lenders do not play around. I turned halfway. Neither do I. I left. I got in my car, body shaking with anger more than anything else. I got home, took a deep breath, and blocked my mom's email. That was it. For a week things were quiet. No messages. I started to think they finally understood I was not their safety net. Nathan called me every day. I told him everything. He listened and calmed me. You made the right choice, he would say. They cannot just show up after 5 years and expect you to fix their problems. I was feeling better. Sad for Megan, yes, but firm in my decision. I had my life and my plans. Then came another Tuesday. I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard a car door outside. I peeked out and nearly dropped my mug. My parents were getting out in front of my house. My anger rose quickly. I opened the door before they knocked. What are you doing here? How did you find my address? My mom smiled, looking proud of herself. Megan hired a private investigator. We had to talk to you in person. You blocked us. I could not believe it. You really did that? My dad did not answer. He was looking at the house, measuring it with his eyes. I could see him calculating its value. Nice house, he said. Leave, I said firmly, but my mom walked right past me and went inside. My dad followed. I stood there stunned by their boldness. Do not get comfortable, I said, closing the door. You are not staying. My mom was walking around the living room, touching things, looking at the furniture. If you sold this house, you could pay Megan's debt and still have enough for something smaller, like a condo. I already told you no. And all this space? My dad said, opening his arms. You live alone. You do not need all this. I took a deep breath. What I need is for you both to leave. My mom turned with tears in her eyes. Megan is terrified. They called her yesterday. They said if they do not get paid soon, there will be serious consequences. Have her file a police report, I said. My dad shook his head. The police are not going to solve this easily. My blood was boiling. That is still not my problem. Leave right now. My mom crossed her arms. We are not leaving until you agree to help. Then I am calling the police, I said, taking out my phone. My dad grabbed my arm. Do not be dramatic. Let go of me, I said firmly and pulled away. I dialed without raising my voice. They saw I was serious. My mom cried more. Fine, she said through sobs. But this does not end here. If something happens to Megan, it will be on you. I held her gaze. And if I lose everything I worked for, that would be on me for allowing it. Not anymore. My dad pointed his finger. You are going to regret this. Family sticks together. Did you not think of that 5 years ago? I replied. They left, but my dad dropped one last comment at the door. Do not say we did not warn you. I closed the door, locked it, and my heart was racing. That same day I called the real estate agent I had spoken with weeks earlier about possibly moving. It is Rachel, I said. Remember we talked about selling my house? I need to sell it as quickly as possible. I am willing to lower the price by 5% to make it happen. She was surprised but said it could be done. She had interested buyers. With the adjustment it could move fast. Let us do it. 3 days later she called with an offer that was lower than ideal but fair for a quick sale. I accepted. Nathan was surprised when I told him. Why so suddenly? I explained about my parents showing up, the investigator, everything. I do not trust them, Nathan. I feel like things could get worse. I would rather sell and keep the money safe out of their reach. He was quiet for a moment. It sounds tough, but it sounds smart. And if you come here sooner, even better. That brought a smile to my face. Are you really okay with me staying with you while we look for a place there? Of course, he said. I have been waiting for you to come. This just speeds things up. The process moved quickly but realistically. Paperwork, appraisal, title work, and settling the mortgage with the sale proceeds. In less than a month, everything was signed. Another reality hit. The house sold for a decent amount, but after paying off what I still owed the bank and all the selling expenses, it was not like I had a large sum left over. Anyone thinking I could pay Megan's debt and still have plenty for a new place had no idea how these transactions work. Nathan came up to help me pack. Having him there meant everything. It was not just the boxes. It was knowing someone was on my side. We loaded up a moving truck and drove to Austin. It was about 3 or 4 hours with a stop to stretch and get something to drink. On the way, my body was tired but my mind felt lighter. When we closed the truck with the last box, I looked at the house one last time. It made me nostalgic. I had been happy there. It had taken a lot to build, but I also felt relief. They could no longer use it against me. Nathan hugged me. Are you okay? Yes, I said, breathing deeply. Let us go. Living with Nathan in Austin was easy in the best way. His place was comfortable, the pace was calmer, and remote work let me settle in fast. In the afternoons we looked at houses online and made plans. I felt calm and truly happy. I had been there about a month when on a Tuesday morning, I got a call from an unknown number with the Dallas area code. I answered cautiously. Hello. Miss Rachel Evans? The voice sounded official. Yes. Who is this? This is Officer Jenkins. I am calling about an incident involving your parents, Carol and Frank Evans. My color drained. What happened? They were arrested last night for trespassing and causing significant property damage. The current owner is pressing charges. I did not understand. Trespassing where? The address they entered appears as your former residence in Allen. You used to live there. I felt a pit in my stomach. I just sold that house recently. There was a pause. That explains some things. Your parents forced entry and caused substantial damage inside. What kind of damage? They damaged furniture, broke windows and vandalized the walls. A neighbor heard the disturbance and called the police. The new owner arrived and filed the report. I sat down hard on the couch. Nathan looked over worried. Are you serious? Yes. The estimated damage is between $35,000 and $40,000, and it could increase with the full assessment. I was stunned. But why would they do that? They claimed they believed the house was still yours, or should be through you. They said you had betrayed the family, and they were collecting what was owed. I stared blankly as my brain processed the absurdity. Officer, I need to tell you the full story. I explained everything. The 5 years of no contact, the pressure for money, the uninvited visit to my current house at the time, the private investigator, the comments that felt like threats. The officer listened, asking clear questions. So they did not know you had sold it? No. They must have done it thinking it was still my house, out of anger. It appears that way, he said. Except they damaged someone else's property. I closed my eyes. I understand. I do not blame the new owner. He is upset and wants to pursue this. He will also file an insurance claim, but that does not remove their responsibility. When I hung up, I stayed quiet. Nathan sat next to me. What happened? I told him, still in disbelief. They broke into my old house thinking it was mine and caused all that damage. Nathan looked shocked. That is completely out of control. It could have been much worse. In the following weeks, I learned through acquaintances that my parents were facing a serious legal situation. In the end, their attorney reached an agreement. They accepted responsibility, paid for the damages, and avoided jail time. But the financial impact was heavy. Between the repairs, legal fees, and the process, they ended up paying nearly $55,000. My old friend Lisa called to fill me in on the details. Rachel, your parents had to sell their house in Plano. I gripped the phone. The one they had? Yes. They could not cover it otherwise. I stayed silent, remembering my mom saying they could not start over. Lisa continued. And the craziest part is that after paying everything, they gave what remained to Megan for her debt. It made me angry and sad at the same time, a bitter feeling. So they ended up doing exactly what they wanted me to do. Exactly, Lisa said. But with their own house. I breathed slowly. And Megan, was she really in that much danger? Lisa hesitated. Not exactly as they described it. It turns out those private lenders were a financial firm and a law office. They were threatening to sue her and pursue collections through the courts. That was it. No more than that. I felt like cold water had been poured over me. So she exaggerated the whole thing? Yes. She played up the fear to get your parents to pressure you harder. Everything clicked then. The manufactured urgency, the stories of immediate danger. It was the same pattern, just with higher stakes. Where are they living now? I asked. They are renting a small apartment, all four of them together. Your parents, Megan, and Jason Walker. 2 bedrooms, and from what I hear, there is a lot of arguing. I hung up after a while thinking. I was not happy about it, not in a celebratory way. It made me sad, but it also confirmed my choices. They had chosen this path. A few months passed, and I started hearing that my family wanted to reach out, to apologize, to fix things. They tried through mutual friends. Even a relative tried to mediate, with calls saying, "You know how your mom is," and asking me to be the bigger person. I always said no. Lisa called me again later. Your mom asked me to tell you she is sorry. They finally understand they handled everything wrong, and they want to see you. I did not raise my voice. I simply said what was clear to me. The thing is, they are your parents, Lisa said. I replied firmly. My parents cut me off for 5 years without caring how I was doing. Then they came back demanding I lose my house for Megan's mistakes. Then they harassed me, and then they committed a crime out of spite. I have nothing left to say. Lisa sighed. But it is family. And it came out naturally, as if I had held it in too long. Family does not abandon you for 5 years and then show up asking for everything. Family does not hire someone to investigate you. Family does not break into a house to damage it trying to get back at you. That is not family. Nathan was nearby and heard my side of the call. When I hung up, he took my hand. Are you okay? I looked at him and felt certain. I am more than okay. That same week we had looked at a house we both loved. Not enormous, but comfortable and in a peaceful area. Something that felt like home. Nathan smiled like he had been holding on to an idea. Since we are talking about houses, I was thinking of something more than just making an offer. I looked at him confused, and then he got down on one knee right there in the living room, pulled out a small box, and my heart stopped. Rachel, he said with a warm, serious voice, will you marry me? Let us buy that house together and build our life. My eyes filled with tears, but this time from relief, joy, and feeling truly valued. Yes, I said with a trembling voice. Yes, of course. We got engaged that day, and that weekend we made an offer on the house. It was accepted. Sometimes I remember my family and wonder if cutting ties completely was the right choice. Then I think about the peace I have felt these past months. Calm days, no drama, stability, a home without pressure or demands. Megan made her own choices. My parents chose to enable her instead of setting limits. They chose to pressure me, to harass, and to cross serious boundaries. I chose something different. I chose to protect my peace. I chose not to give away years of hard work. I chose a life with someone who supports me, respects me, and does not use me. And I believe I chose better. Nathan and I are already planning our wedding for next year. We talk about starting a family someday. At work, things have gone so well that I even received a promotion. I am happy, truly happy. None of that would have happened if I had let my family pull me back into their chaos. So no, I do not regret my decision for even a moment. I learned something that took me years to accept. Loving your family does not mean letting them disrupt your life. Sometimes you tolerate things out of habit, guilt, or fear of what others will say, and you end up losing your peace, your savings, and your sense of self. When you finally say no, you discover who truly cares for you and who only valued what they could get. If I take one lesson from all this, it is that setting boundaries is not a lack of love. It is self-respect. I did not close the door out of bitterness. I closed it so I could finally breathe and protect what I had built with so much effort. Comment. Hey there, if this story touched something deep inside you, I want you to know I get it. I've walked through moments like this myself and learned that your peace is truly worth protecting. Setting healthy boundaries is one of the kindest things you can do for yourself. It's not about pushing people away, but about honoring your own worth every single day. Taking responsibility for your happiness helps you heal from old patterns that no longer serve you. You deserve to choose calm and stability in your daily life. Remember that true kindness always includes being kind to your own heart first. When you stand up for your well-being, you make space for better connections to come in. I hope this encourages you to reflect on where you might need to draw a gentle line today. You have the strength to build a life filled with respect and genuine peace. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.